The Liberal Party of Canada is an absolute clown show. We've established this. Me saying this doesn't shock any of you, but this kind of did shock me a little bit. So, a bunch of Liberal MPs are going around trying to collect other MP signatures asking Justin Trudeau to resign as their leader or at least hold a leadership race to replace him. Jennifer L. is posting this headline from the CBC. At one point, it reads, one MP who signed the document told CBC News the number of MP signatures has spilled onto a second page, asking for Justin Trudeau to leave as leader. You know, guys, it's about time, and it also feels extremely late. We're in like the back half of the final quarter of this Liberal government, and you only realize that he's unpopular now? Only now do you guys check and read a poll and notice, wow, nobody likes us. It was never going to improve. And if you ever needed some evidence to prove that politicians are more incompetent and less nefarious, just look at how the Liberal Party has acted around Justin Trudeau's leadership. Everyone was utterly terrified to say the honest truth that nobody likes this guy and we cannot go into another election with him. I, as a conservative, have been laughing all the way because it's good for conservatism in Canada that the Liberal Party destroys itself. But from the perspective of someone who also wants, our politicians to be somewhat intelligent, I'm still frustrated watching these people grope around in the dark and only now find out that Justin Trudeau's approval rating is like 24%, 25% in a country where it's very easy to win as a liberal because you are artificially considered like the middle party because you're between the NDP, the Bloc, and the Conservatives. So you're the middle of the road party. You're the moderate party. Everyone can vote liberal and not feel like they're a big political partisan. You're the moderate person. It's never been true, but that's the appeal that the liberals have been always been able to move on. But the problem with trying to get rid of Justin Trudeau now is, although I think Trudeau should resign because we should normalize leaders who suck at their jobs resigning from office, the Liberals don't have anyone to replace this guy with. I know that we all ourselves they know that they could just replace him with the shoe, and that would be absolutely acceptable. But considering the fact that they actually have to pick a human being from the Liberal Party caucus or from the Liberal Party as an outsider to then come into Parliament, there's no inanimate objects we're allowed to replace him with, and the polling is showing all the other options are as popular as the bubonic plague. Nobody either knows who these people are or likes them if they do know who they are, which means that Justin Trudeau's still like the popular people's choice within the Liberal Party. This is an older poll from April. I know that they've done another one recently, and it was basically the same result. I just couldn't find the new one. It's from Abacus Data, and it showed that these were the preferred choices of people if there was a leadership race to replace Justin Trudeau. They just threw out a bunch of names, people who are cabinet ministers, people who have profile like Mark Carney, and the top polling person was Chrystia Freeland with only 13%. Mark Carney at 11, Melanie Joly at 5, Francois Philippe Champagne at 5, Dominic LeBlanc at 4, John Fraser at 4, and I think he was somebody that Trudeau was actually kind of trying to groom as like the next leader of the party. He's like, this tall, attractive guy who has kind of Trudeau-like qualities. At the same time, I think he's somehow worse than Trudeau. Like he's even more plasticky than Trudeau in a really bad way. Anita Anand at 3%, and Unsure taking the day decisively with 54%. Because name me a cabinet minister who has had impact, who feels like they have gravitas. A liberal wanting to win a leadership race has to run for a different party. Now, Pablo Rodriguez is going to run for the Liberal Party of Quebec because at least Quebecers kind of know who the Liberals are. But for the rest of the country, outside of the island of Montreal, nobody knows who these people are. Imagine polling somebody like Arif Virani, our current justice minister. Who even knows Arif Virani? Who would ever pick that guy out of a crowd? I could walk past a crowd of Liberal cabinet ministers, and if you asked me which of those people was a cabinet minister, I probably would not, with gun to my head certainty, be able to tell you of any of them or even politicians. because these people are boring. That's the big thing, the big problem with the liberals. Their brand is rightfully seen as very radical, woke, and left wing. But their politicians themselves don't come with that kind of fiery punch that you could at least say, like, at least galvanizes people in favor of them or against them. Even a Christian Freeland, who absolutely is a radical, all these people are radicals. I look at them and I immediately just feel a sucking void of apathy. They are boring corporate bureaucrats. They're the type of people leading awful meetings at your work about nothing. They are the people who swing by your office to tell you to that we've changed the cover to the TPS reports. They're just awful managerial class losers, and the polling is showing it. So even though I'd like Justin Trudeau to resign, he should resign. He is a terrible leader and a terrible person, and I want Pierre Poilievre to be the next prime minister. If you're a liberal strategist, do you want Trudeau to resign? So we're in this weird push and pull where a bunch of people want to oust Trudeau, but if you ask these same people who want to oust Trudeau who should replace Trudeau, they'd be like all shoulders. They're like, maybe Mark Carney, maybe. And really, are you going to run Mark Carney, a central banker, at this time where people hate government management class individuals? This would be like running Michael Ignatieff again. He didn't work out the first time, so you're going to get the guy who was in charge of the Bank of England even farther away than where Michael Ignatieff was living in the US. It's pathetic. And like they have Michael Ignatieff trying to, oh, not Ignatieff, but Carney trying to come in as like the assistant finance minister because they finally realized that Chrystia Freeland's background in writing articles didn't actually translate out to being a good fiscal manager, especially if you're a lefty fiscal manager where they get deeply involved in the day-to-day operations of the economy, or at least a conservative. If you had no experience as a finance guy and you're the conservative finance minister, at least you can say, let's just lower taxes and stop messing around, let people do their own thing. The economy would boom. That's effectively what's happening in Argentina. Javier Milei is just telling them, like, hands off. We're going to stop doing anything. The Argentinian people can make their own destiny in the economy. And things are really starting to work out in Argentina because the government got its boot off of people's necks. But yeah, there's not exactly much else I can say about this other than that Trudeau's done a very good job at brain draining the Liberal Party. Back when the Liberal Party started up in 2015 in terms of the government, I thought they actually had a lot of strong personalities in the party. I could see a Bill Morneau being a good leadership candidate, a Jody Wilson-Raybould, a Jane Philpott. There are some personalities inside the Liberal Party. Other ones resigned before the last election, but they used to have people that I didn't like them, but they seem to be their own man. Everyone in the Liberal caucus right now are a bunch of peevish losers. Nate Erickson Smith swearing in a committee meeting because someone said he seemed to have lacked integrity in something he did, and he starts swearing and swinging wildly because the man's nothing but a walking ego. That's why he does more work on his podcast while he's in government rather than on actual policy, pushing it out bills to try and sneak veganism more into the diets of Canadians. Absolutely ridiculous garbage. Arif Arani, is he going to run? Mark Garrettson, would he run? Any of these people? Mark Holland, Ryan Turnbull. These are horrible, annoying people. Like, what is that guy? Randy Boissonneau from Alberta? The other, or maybe his friend, the other Randy, could run. He sounds more competent than Randy Boissonneau himself. These people lack any sort of real personality of their own. They're egos, walking egos with no charisma whatsoever. I'm not a particularly charismatic person, especially in public. I could smoke these people in a leadership race, in any race, because they believe in is corporatism. They just believe in management and regulation. That doesn't make for a very good politician. Trudeau was the one that had personality, and even over time, I think he's actually become really rusty. I thought in 2015 he had energy. Now he's just like a sad old man, and he's not even old. He's just bad in interviews. Have you ever seen this guy off script? It's like worse than Obama or Kamala Harris. Like if the teleprompter goes off for Justin Trudeau, it's ums, ahs, and terrible equivocations. Ugh. Anyways, I actually would love to see a liberal leadership race because I feel like it would be fun to watch how boring it would be. Just people saying boilerplate liberal garbage, woke garbage, releasing their some insert demographic here for Freeland advertisements or whatever. It'd be hilarious. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. Have a good one.